So 44 days worth. I had people standing outside my bedroom window with signs, Pawlenty is a weapon of mass transit destruction. But we got it fixed. We got it fixed. So I share all this with you because there's a lot of people who come through rooms like this and they talk. And I'm going to say many of the same things about cutting taxes and holding the line on spending and reforming schools through accountability and choice and market-based, government-based health care reform. And by the way, if we're going to have a political charge against Barack Obama about health care reform, we better do it with somebody who's not a co-conspirator in the charge. And on down the list. So on all these things, the issue isn't can somebody stand up here and chirp about giving a speech. The issue is, do you have the fortitude to do it? Do you have the leadership ability and experience to do it? Have you run a large organization in crisis under difficult circumstances? Do you have your life compass setting set so that if the op-eds come or the backwash comes or the pushback comes, you have the strength to put your head down and plow forward and get it done? And if you look, thank you. So I hope that you'll keep that in mind. And there's the Cato Institute gave 4 governors the last 2 years an A grade, and they're tough graders. It's a libertarian-leaning think tank. And there's, I was one of the 4. One was Louisiana, one was South Carolina, one was West Virginia. Now, if you looked at those states as a predictor of the pattern, and then you had to fill in the 4th as the blank, if you knew the first 3 were Louisiana, West Virginia, and South Carolina, I don't think you'd add Minnesota next on the list. But we did it. Now I want to just quickly want to switch to prosperity and growth, because so often conservatives say, you know, we're just going to deal with the spending side, and believe me, I've done more than my share of cutting than anybody in the country. But we can't just be about reducing the spending. We've got to do that for sure, including a constitutional amendment to balance the budget and getting real health care reform. But we got to get this economy growing. So I had a proposal not long ago to say, let's get the economy growing at not some anemic, ridiculous, apologetic level of 1 or 2%. Let's set the bar at 5%. Let's set the bar at 5%. And some of my critics said, well, that's ridiculous. It's too high. Well, if China can have 5% growth, and India can have 5% growth, and Brazil can have 5% growth, the United States of America can have 5% growth. And it's a big goal. It's a big, aggressive, bold goal. And people say, well, it's too high. Well, Kennedy didn't say, you know, let's have a space program and go to the clouds. He didn't say, you know, let's have a space program and see if maybe we can get to 1 orbit. You know, he said, let's have a space program and put a man on the moon. And so we need to have this kind of growth. But to do that, here's what we need to do. Let's cut that corporate tax rate and business tax rate from 35% to 15%. And underneath that, let's tell the triangle of crony capitalism, the big unions, the big governments, and the certain big bailout businesses, that their special deals in the business tax code, the little loopholes and niches and exemptions that they get if you have a good connection with a politician, those are all gone. Let's get back to an America where businesses have to connect and have their success depend on being connected to consumers, not connected to members of Congress. And on the individual side, let's take those 6 tax brackets and condense them down to 2, 10 and 25%. It'll be about a 30% cut in tax rates for individuals and small businesses all across this country. And here's an idea in energy. My 2-word energy policy for America. More energy. More American energy. Drill in Anwar. Learn the lessons of Gulf oil spill, advance nuclear, recognizing the lessons of Japan, but let's also make sure that we take advantage of one of the biggest new things going on in energy in our country, and that is we have a massive amount of natural gas within the territorial reach of the United States. Let's bring it to market. And I'll just tell you, our business leaders everywhere, every day, all across this country tell me the same thing, regardless of the size of their business, regardless of the location in the country, regardless of the sector. It's the same message everywhere, and I meet with hundreds of them a week. They say this: get the government off my back. Some talk about regulation, some talk about taxes, some talk about repealing Obamacare, some talk about energy issues, some talk about permitting in the EPA, some talk about knocking off the threats of cap and trade, and down the list. We need to do all of that and more. But the basic message is, if you want to grow jobs in this country, listen to the job providers. And you can't be pro-jobs and anti-business. That's like being pro-egg and anti-chicken. So we can do this, but we're going to have to be a team. And I want to close with a story about Michael Jordan, perhaps the greatest basketball player that ever played the game. Although in Cleveland, before he left, the folks in Cleveland thought LeBron James was going to be, but after that last playoff round, I don't think so. But MJ one night in Chicago on the home court, as the story goes, scored 56 points by himself in a basketball game. A remarkable performance. And so with just a minute or so left in the game, the coach recognized this remarkable performance and wanted to pull him out of the game so he could walk off. The game was in hand, and get an ovation from the hometown crowd. And he did, and they gave him the deserved ovation. But into the game goes a rookie who had never played in the NBA before. So he's trying to shoot a basket, and he gets fouled with just seconds left to go in the game. So he goes to the free throw line. He didn't make the basket, but he gets two shots. And so he makes one, and he misses one. He gets 1 point. And the buzzer goes off, the game ends, all the players go into the locker room, and the press is understandably hovering over Michael Jordan and his spectacular 56-point performance. And one enterprising reporter drifts off over to the rookie and says to the rookie, "Now, this is your first NBA experience. What does it mean to you? What should we take from it?" And the rookie looks up with a smile and says, "You know, I think tonight should be forever remembered as the night that Michael Jordan and I together scored 57 points. So in this cause of a better, more common sense, conservative direction for America, we got to be a team. We're going to have a robust debate about the particulars, but we got to be a team. We're going to need the rookies and the Michael Jordans and the everyday players and everybody in between. But the role that you play in understanding these values and principles and amplifying it across America is really important, and it's courageous, and it's meaningful, and it's going to help move the needle and get this country back on track. If we're going to get a new and better America, I should say a restored America, and make it in a new and better direction, we're going to need a new and better president. And Barack Obama ran for office and did a number of things. But he said one, after he got elected as president, he said, "If you elect me, I'll cut the deficit in half in my first term." He said, don't raise the debt ceiling when he was a senator, because it'd be an example of failed leadership. And then he says, you know, he's going to do health care reform, but he was opposed as a candidate to the individual mandate. He was going to do it with Republicans. He was going to focus on cost containment. Did he keep that promise? You had enough of $4 a gallon gas? You had enough of an out-of-control federal government? You had enough of crushing levels of unemployment? Then let's get to work and take back this country. Thank you very much. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. Thank you.